the soccer podcast from dailyfantasylobby.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to dailyfantasylobby.com's weekly soccer podcast. I'm Christy.
I'm David.
And we are here to discuss the big developments in daily fantasy sports and also our selections for this weekend's soccer lineups on DraftKings.com. So, first of all, big headline news this week. Do you want to take it away, David?
Yahoo!
Yahoo!
So this week we've seen Yahoo announce in their earnings call their entry into DFS. So, you know, who knew? Who knew?
I know.
Some people did know, I think. But I think the general community, definitely a surprise and quite exciting.
I mean, it's a massive name. This isn't... So far, we've had big names coming in. Just last week, we discussed PokerStars coming in. Yahoo, everybody in the world knows it.
Well, it's terrific for us, isn't it? Because it's great content. And I think, you know, a few months ago, if you'd said PokerStars are coming in and DraftKings will be there and FanDuel, that would have been enough. But now, Yahoo as well. So
yeah, it's massive. Now, what I want to discuss with you, David, is the potential knock-on effect. Not so much for the user, we can come back to that, but for FanDuel and DraftKings, because this has to impact on their fundraising rounds, doesn't it?
You would think so. And I think, you know, we've got to be aware that actually it could already have happened, and we're speculating on something that we just don't know about.
Sure.
But you know, it already has happened. But if you can imagine, I suppose, that it hasn't happened, and I was a representative of either of those two companies going to raise money, my valuation is surely going to be kicked down a little bit.
You would expect so.
By, you know, any VC worth their salt, and I've no doubt they're only talking to VCs worth their salt at this stage. So the big concern for me, you know, last week with PokerStars was enough, but the really big concern for me with Yahoo is that for the last 2 years, all we've been hearing about is this 41 million player number.
Yeah. 41
million players play year-long fantasy. Therefore, we've only got, 2.5% in the market. So there's another, 39 million out there. And, you know, with the marketing spend, we're going to attract them in. A great story, really compelling, and I think it's, you know, been the rock behind a lot of their fundraising. But now you're coming into a meeting perhaps tomorrow, and you're sitting down across from some VC, and he's saying, well, you know, see that 38 million, 39 million people that you thought were coming into your business? They're staying with Yahoo. They're not coming into your business. So that, like, $1.5 billion, $2 billion valuation, I think it's going to get a kick. I think it's going to get a kicking. I think it has to. Guys, that's not to say that FanDuel and DraftKings aren't great businesses. We're not talking about that. You know, this isn't about that. This is just talking about the future. And it's definitely, you know, what looked like a duopoly a month ago is looking more like just a general competitive market.
You know what? It could end up being a duopoly, but between PokerStars and Yahoo.
Well, it could be, because you've now got with PokerStars and Maya and Yahoo. Maya are the most acquisitive company in online gaming, and Yahoo could be the most acquisitive company ever. I think they just made $7 billion from their investment in Alibaba that was returned to them, and Melissa Meyer, the Yahoo CEO, she's like, you know, committed to reinvesting this cash.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's not going to worry them, is it? It's not just about we're going to take a skin and we're going to have the year-long fantasy guys just sort of cross so gently into it. I think they're going to go out with some mass marketing. I think they're going to go out there to the real world, and you're going to see them on the telly, aren't you? I mean,
it's fascinating, isn't it? Because, I mean, not a month ago we were sitting here discussing, not is it ethical, but certainly it's a little aggressive. DraftKings and FanDuel have just gone in and they've blown the smaller companies out of the water. And suddenly, are they now these minnows? Are they, you know, is everything being cranked up another 1,000%?
I think the big boys have come to play now.
Yeah.
So you better be prepared, and you better have a strong management team. I mean, you better have a really strong management team. And I think that's why a little bit they've been trying to. They must have been aware of this, right? Because, you know, I think
they've had it so good for so long.
There were some whispers, and I kind of think this is like some of the reasoning behind trying to tie up some of the sort of media channels a little bit.
Sure.
But, you know, Yahoo are the media channels, so you can't tie them up.
But they have been, credit to FanDuel and DraftKings, they have been somewhat diverse. They've been trying to affiliate themselves with big sporting organisations so as to reach their fan base by extension without having to come in with the big advertising spend. Obviously, these affiliations are kind of mutually
I guess so, yeah, without knowing the terms of those particular deals, like you're talking about the deals, I think FanDuel just announced like 15 NFL teams they've done some deals with, and no doubt that'll extend out further. Like, without really knowing, I'm sure it's probably cost them a bit of cash to do those deals. I would expect so. In one way or the other, it's cost them some cash, even just to expedite the sort of value of the deal will require manpower and a bit of expense. But you know, really interesting. So I mean, I think if you think about them all coming to a fight, you know, FanDuel and DraftKings are already there, the sort of big boys, and then all of a sudden, you know, Amaya PokerStars have walked in with a tank, and then Yahoo have turned up with an army.
It's crazy, isn't it? And suddenly things just aren't looking so rosy for FanDuel and DraftKings. Any coincidence in the fact that Walt Disney's massive investment in DraftKings that, you know, started sparking headlines 3 full weeks ago has not been confirmed, or is that just sort of a natural part of the process? These deals take time. You're talking big money.
Yeah, they do take time, but you generally don't announce before it's signed. Yeah. It's very unusual. It's obviously something holding it. I tend to feel like the deal's kind of done, and there's a reason, maybe a Disney reason why it's not been, like, you know, made official. I guess I'm not really sure. But I think, you know, on a positive side, the positive benefactors here are us, are the users and the customers here. I think we really are going to look at an NFL season that kicks off with, you know, huge overlay, huge guaranteed prize pools, choice. I'd imagine like rake's going to come down. I think you might start to see some mainstream rake back.
I mean, we've been really heralding the possibility of that for a good while now. We've been discussing that's probably the next great refinement that's going to arrive in DFS. As far as I'm concerned, the margins have been too high. The customer has been paying too much in surplus.
Like 15%
up to 15%, which is, frankly, I think it's absurd, and I think it's bad value a lot of the time. That's why we have the super lobby, incidentally, so you can pinpoint where the value is at. As soon as you get into double-digit margins, I think the customer is being ripped off. But I put it to you that maybe the customer isn't the winner in this. Now, hear me out, because I know that you think to the contrary here. But I suspect that with the massive investments that are being made into DFS, you know, the cost is going to have to be passed on somewhere. These aren't donations. They're looking to recoup. So maybe the margins will increase, or at least not come down.
Well, I think what's happened is the industry might have, as a whole, might just have been pushed back a couple of years. I think what you're looking at again is the second phase, or the return of the initial land grab.
Sure.
I think we've seen the land grab through all the marketing spend that FD and DK have put out there. I think we're just seeing it all again. I think it's everyone right back to ground zero again, and let's go. So I think all you're really looking at here is like customer acquisition.
Yeah.
And yet ultimately, when the dust settles, and you know the dust might not settle for a couple of seasons at least, then I guess ultimately then the winners might then try and raise the rake and the margin back up again. We might see that.
And in sporting terms, this could be like Abramovich at Chelsea. This could be like, so we had the dominant Manchester United and Arsenal. They were spending big. They were performing well. They had the big name players. Boom, Abramovich takes over at Chelsea. Suddenly, the entire landscape has shifted. And what happens? Manchester City then go and topple them.
That's right.
And Man U and Arsenal are not back to third or fourth.
That's right, yeah, and who would have believed that?
I know. And
where are Liverpool? Because Liverpool are maybe FanDuel, right? Because Liverpool, you know, throughout the 70s and 80s with Dalglish and Souness and all the other great Scotsmen, were winning European trophies. And now, you know, if they can come a tailed off third, that's quite a good season for them.
If they're fourth, they're successful. All of which is a perfect segue, of course, into our DFS soccer chat. So this week we are looking at David's pick on DraftKings.com. I know that we've taken a little look at Draft Goal, we've taken a little look at Mondo Goal through this week, but David really wanted to make his selection on DraftKings this week.
Right.
Talk me through the team, please, David.
Right. Okay.
This is not the response of a guy who's confident in
that's not the team. Do you know Newcastle United form to me a little bit of the backbone of my team structure this week.
Say no more.
And and they show
it's
nothing to suggest that they're anything like a good team.
They're so bad.
They're just the middle of the middle of. But you know what? They're like midway in the league. So how bad are these teams?
Well, it's about trajectory, isn't it?
How bad are Burnley?
Nosediving.
How bad are Burnley? And Leicester have won, 3 or 4 in a row, and they're second, third, bottom.
But it's unfair to use the same starting point because they're not. They're playing in different playing fields. Newcastle's budget. But my issue with Newcastle is, I know you've picked Janmaat and you've picked Remy Cabella. My issue with Newcastle is you've got a three-way fraction, whatever, a three-way disconnect between owner, manager and fans. Not two of the three are seeing things the same way, and I just think it's disastrous.
Completely. I mean, the place is a shambles. I mean, the only do you know what? It's like a hunch. It's like a bit of a hunch that this is the sort of game, this is the sort of fixture that Newcastle actually do something in.
And they're away at Swansea. Sorry, they're
at home to Swansea. They're home to Swansea, so it's like, Swansea aren't that great. I don't think Swansea have got a huge amount of dig about them. I can just see Newcastle. I can just see them winning like 2-1 or 2-0, and I could see Janmaat getting up and down the pitch a little bit, and I can see Cabella scoring a goal. So, and at the sort of cost of those guys, it let me get some sort of. I had a bit more confidence in the top tiered guys, but
that's a good point actually. So you've got Cabella and Janmaat. You've also picked Julian Speroni in goals, and Palace are playing Hull, so you're thinking clean sheet possibility here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and obviously with the same reason that I've gone for Bolasie, and with picking him like every second week, I somehow managed to miss his hat trick.
yeah.
And it's like, do you just pick him and Zaha, in a game like this, because they're going to dominate the possession. My great pal Andy Robertson unlikely to play for Hull this week through injury, so I think they're going to get a lot of time and space down the flanks. Bolasie could come in and do something for me here, and then obviously you've got the big game. I mean, the really massive game at the bottom of the league between Burnley and Leicester.
Yeah, that's a big one. Give me 5 words on Burnley versus Leicester. Your prediction for it, not in a DFS sense, but just your prediction for that game.
One each draw, Danny Ings.
Okay, all right. And as if to put your money where your mouth is,
I've stuck him in the team.
All right, now, of course, as always, we're running long, so I want 5 words on why you picked Sergio Aguero. You probably only need 1. Goals.
Yeah, goals. Aguero is really good, isn't he?
Aguero's really good, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then Sterling.
Sterling stuck him in as a flex. I think they're playing.
Liverpool playing West Brom. They've actually got a surprisingly bad record against West Brom.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think Sterling's going to sort of get a bit of ball possession, and he'll probably shoot and cross a lot and score a few points. I think that's exactly. Yeah, I think he can probably do that. And the last guy we haven't talked about, I suppose, is Martin Skrtel, who I just thought was quite cheap.
Horrendous record in daily fantasy sport.
Yeah, terrible. I think he might score a goal this weekend. I'll throw him in there. Guys, if you want to win some money playing daily fantasy soccer this weekend, I'm not sure that's the team you want to be going with.
Ignore everything we've just said.
There might be the odd gem in there, but I think it's very open for criticism, and we'd love to hear from you, because why don't we get one of you guys submit a team to us one week and we can discuss it and we can critique it.
Yeah, that would be great. If you're interested in that proposal, just give us a little shout. You can hit us up on Twitter @SuperLobby. You can leave a comment in the YouTube comment section. You can just come onto the site, dailyfantasylobby.com, send an email to info@dailyfantasylobby.com.
Yep.
So, we're always happy to chat. We're always happy to get kind of outside contributions, because frankly, I think David's jumped the shark here with this team lineup. This is beyond any credibility.
I will still be putting some cash behind it.
All right. That means I'm in for 50%. Oh no,
you're in for half.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. Spread the love a bit on Twitter. Feel free to give us a share to let people know about it. As you can probably tell, you've seen hostage videos on YouTube with bigger budgets than this. So we're relying on you guys to get involved as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.